Finally, it's time for Jinwoo to pay a visit to the demonic castle and throw hands with demons so strong they make his last opponents look like tutorial-level NPCs. Buckle up, because the end of this episode will blow your mind. After dealing with those giant bears, Jinwoo wasted no time recruiting new shadow soldiers for his growing army. Meanwhile, outside the Red Gate, Dong-soo was pacing like a nervous dad, asking how long they'd been inside. The crew tells him it's been 3 hours out, about 3 days in there. Dong-soo immediately assumes Jinwoo's already become bear chap. He starts complaining about wasting his time and getting ready to leave, but then remembers Jinwoo isn't even part of the White Tiger. So naturally, he starts asking what the heck Jinwoo was doing there in the first place. The manager explains that Jinwoo is a friend and was just curious about the C-rank gate. He didn't think it'd be a problem to let him tag along. But of course, musclehead Dong-soo wasn't buying it. He grabs the manager and starts choking him, demanding to know what kind of prodigy he found this time. That's when the guild master steps in, grabbing Dong-soo's arm and telling him to knock it off. Dong-soo, being the drama king he is, throws shade, calling the guild master a small fish compared to himself. Baek wasn't having any of that and started flexing some terrifying energy, forcing Dong-soo to eat his word. The tension explodes. Meanwhile, poor Kim Chul is out in the snow, freezing and clearly traumatized. He stumbles across the corpses of the ice bear and assumes it must have been the ice elves because there's no way those weaklings from the rank E could have pulled that off. Back at the showdown, Jinchul steps in before anyone ends up in the hospital. He thanks the two hotheads for holding back because, let's be real, otherwise he'd be the one getting sent to the ER. Jinchul mentions testing Jinwoo's abilities 2 months ago and confirms he's just an E-rank. He also insists that magical beasts killed Dong-soo's brother, but Dong-soo isn't buying, calling it a bedtime story. Fool. He admits he's just looking for an excuse to kill Jinwoo. Meanwhile, Kim Chul finally stumbles across the rank E group. He's shocked to see them living it up, food and gear, while he's out here losing his whole team to poor resources. He starts flipping out, accusing them of hiding all that stuff from him. In the middle of his meltdown, Kim Chul decides the high-ranking mage must have joined Jinwoo's group because they had better survival resources. Furious, he's ready to wipe them all out, but Jinwoo shows up and casually flicks him across the area like a rag. Jinwoo calmly explains that if anyone's to blame for the mess, it's the leader who decided to split the team. To make things worse, Kim Chul had unknowingly brought trouble straight to their doorstep. Ice elves deactivate their stealth, and the bloodlust in the air is impossible to ignore. When the elf leader starts speaking, Jinwoo surprises himself by suddenly understanding their monster language. Even he's like, wait, when did I learn this? The elf leader reveals one of his subordinates found Jinwoo interesting, wanted a fight. But before the guy could even throw hands, Jinwoo decapitated in an instant. The head landed 30 feet away before anyone knew what happened. Jinwoo then moves in on the elf leader, who explains that a voice constantly orders them to kill humans. Strangely enough, that same voice doesn't command them to attack Jinwoo, meaning he's not human. Jinwoo starts piecing things together, realizing that becoming a player might have changed his status as a human. The elf leader tries to strike a deal, saying he'll spare Jinwoo's life if he hands over the human. Jinwoo obviously says nope. The leader, full of confidence, reminds Jinwoo that they're outnumbered, but Jinwoo shuts him up by summoning his shadow army, and suddenly, the odds look a lot less favorable for the elf. Chaos erupts as everyone goes into battle mode. While the elves try sniping at the escaping human, Jinwoo pulls an action movie move, catching arrows mid-air and obliterating the attackers. Jinwoo soon realizes that the elf leader, Baruka, way tougher than expected. Baruka pulls a disappearing dagger trick and nearly lands a fatal blow, but Jinwoo dodges just in time. The elf lands a powerful kick to Jinwoo's gut, but instead of flinching, Jinwoo just grins like a maniac. Out of nowhere, Jinwoo's shadow mages launch a massive fireball straight at Baruka. Meanwhile, Kim Chul finally picks himself up after that humiliating flick and charges at Jinwoo right as Baruka does the same. Of course, Jinwoo saw it coming a mile away and summoned Igor, who wasted no time planting a sword right into the rank A's gut. Even though the dude was a total jerk, he was still pretty strong, so Jinwoo decided to recruit his shadow for the squad. He named him Iron, who wasted no time making himself a nuisance to Baruka. Meanwhile, the rest of the human group was huddled behind a tree, enjoying the show like it was premium cable. Park Hee-jin couldn't help but mutter that if raids were always this chaotic, she would have picked literally any other career. Baruka, the sneaky elf, laughed and said, "One sword's not enough to handle me, huh? Let's bring 2 more into the mix." Clearly, the guy had skill, juggling 3 attackers like he was auditioning for a medieval circuit. But Iron's taunting ability kept pulling Baruka's focus, leaving him open for a sneaky slash from Jinwoo. Realizing his entire elf army had been wiped out by these shadowy nuisances didn't help his mood either. Furious, he lunged at Jinwoo, laughing at how the kid had thrown away his weapon. Cue Jinwoo activating his Thor-like skill, summoning his dagger straight into Baruka's back like it had GPS. Baruka tried to block, but his his weapon got obliterated. The shadows swarmed him, hitting from all angles, but somehow the guy tanked it all. That's when Jinwoo turned invisible, slipped behind him, and stuck his dagger where it hurts, announcing, "It's over." Baruka sneered, "Don't get cocky." But before he could finish, Iron was already slamming his hammer right into his face. With that final blow, they took down the boss, netting Jinwoo a mountain of XP. But Iron, hyped beyond reason, kept smashing Baruka's lifeless body until Jinwoo had to tell him to chill. The Shadow Army erupted into victory cheers, while Jinwoo made his way to the group, announcing that it was all clear. The portal opened, and the surviving hunters returned, breathing sighs of relief. Outside, Baek was holding on to the hope that Kim Chul had miraculously saved the day. His bubble popped when he saw only the low-rank hunters walk out alive. Baek grabbed Jinwoo, demanding to know what had happened. Jinwoo, clearly over it, told him to ask his guild members instead. Baek pressed on, saying 6 members had gone MIA, and he needed answered. Jinwoo, now fully done, replied, "I saved 2 of your guys. The least you can do is say thank you." Baek, realizing he'd poked the wrong bear, stammered an apology. Still, his curiosity got the best of him, so he asked Park what was going on. She shrugged, saying she had no clue, except that Jinwoo had been in a foul mood ever since defeating the boss. That's when Baek realized Jinwoo wasn't your average hunter, and told his manager to recruit him for the guild no matter what. Meanwhile, Jinwoo was frustrated because he couldn't extract Baruka's shadow. He tried 3 times, but the system basically told him, "Not today, bud." The next day, Jinwoo met up with Jin-Ho, who showed up dressed like a human disco ball. Before they got back to business, Jinwoo decided to stop by Yi-Han's house. The moment she hopped in the car, she greeted Jinwoo all sweet, leaving Jin-Ho absolutely stunned. And when she casually mentioned she couldn't sleep last night, Jin-Ho immediately got the wrong idea and stammered out, "You know she's underage, right?" Inside the raid, the little heir was shocked by the captain's new ability. He said he didn't remember the guy having a freaking army working for him last time, and it made everyone's job a whole lot easier. But Jin-Ho begged the boss to at least let him mine the crystals so he wouldn't feel completely useless. He got all emotional when a knight came over to bring him the mineral. Then we cut to a pitch-black room with some guy shaking like a leaf, terrified of a huge, long-haired dude telling him to stop screaming. The big guy said to calm down because his friends were just taking a nap. But the poor guys were American, and the big dude's English was terrible. So he pulled out a translator and explained he was just a human trying to go home. Meanwhile, the 2 guys headed to a steakhouse to celebrate since they'd finally finished all 19 raids in the contract. Now the little heir just needed to pass his test to become a certified guildmaster. After that, Jinwoo mentioned he might go off the grid to avoid certain people. But Jin-Ho, already tipsy from hand sanitizer level alcohol, said if he's annoying, Jinwoo should just say it, and he'll stop. Then, all drunk, he said he considers Jinwoo more family than his actual brother. The 2 shared a drink to seal their brotherly bond. The rich kid got emotional and ordered 300 more steaks for Jinwoo to eat. Meanwhile, that giant monster of a man was locked up and being questioned. He said he was a foreign hunter who got stuck in a gate for 10 years and couldn't escape. And since his English was awful, they were waiting for a translator. The guys were starting to think he might actually be a magical monster disguised as human. So they called in an S-rank hunter to do the interrogation. Of course, they meant Hwang Dong-soo, who was already on a flight back to the United States. All they'd figured out so far was the hunter's name, Il-hwan Sung. At home, Sung Jinwoo told his sister he'd be gone for a week. She teased him, saying he'd been going out a lot lately and asking if he'd found himself a girlfriend. Little did she know the closest thing to that was him getting cozy with her best friend. Finally, our boy returned to the demonic castle. Last time he fought Cerberus, he was level 20, but now he was 3 times stronger and thought it'd be easier this time. He inserted the key and entered the castle. Right away, he got a mission to collect demon soul, and it wouldn't end until he gathered 10,000 soul. But that didn't matter. Even if it were 100,000, he wasn't leaving until he got the items for the life elixir. Meanwhile, at Jin-Ho's mansion, he was trying to convince his dad to let him take over as guildmaster, even though it was supposed to go his brother. The old man started talking about the 3 crazy incidents Jinwoo survived, not to mention the Red Gate raid Jin-Ho didn't even know about. He said Jin-Ho only passed the guild master test because of Jinwoo, and asked if he still thought he deserved to lead the guild. Jin-Ho had excuses ready, but he didn't need them because his dad agreed, with a condition. Since the White Tiger Guild was eager to recruit Jinwoo after the Red Gate, his dad asked if Jin-Ho could bring him in first. Jin-Ho swore he'd make it happen. Back in the demonic castle, Jinwoo had already taken out a bunch of demons, but discovered he couldn't extract their shadows because they were corrupted. After completing the first mission, he earned a pass to the second floor. Tired of walking, he summoned the Ice Bear leader as his mount. But before Jinwoo could give any orders, the Coca-Cola bear charged into the demons, trampling everyone. Jinwoo named him Tank. Over at the White Tiger Guild, they had a pretty fancy area. Cha recalled asking Bayek why they were keeping the flying ant information secret. Baek explained it was an order from the association to avoid scaring the public. In the castle, Jinwoo worried it might be an S-rank dungeon, but the demons seemed more like B-rank best. He noted that the demons increased in number and strength with each floor, which helped him level up faster. He started imagining how strong he'd become by the final floor, and knew he had to collect those 10,000 souls before running out of food. Then he ran into an army of Orc King Knights who could have used a diet plan. He summoned his army to face the first boss, Vulcan the Greedy, who was waiting on the 50th floor. Manager An and Park Hee-jin went to Jinwoo's house to offer him a job, but Jinwoo wasn't interested in a 9-to-5 and had already left town. The manager looked up Jinwoo's record and saw he'd vanished downtown. No one knew where he went. By that time, Jinwoo was explaining strategies to his soldier. He told them to handle the minions while he focused on the boss. The mages started strong with explosions, Igris cleaned up the weaklings, and Jinwoo, now with higher intelligence, summoned even more shadow soldiers. He wondered how long that pastel lord would just sit there. As if on cue, the boss teleported and slammed his staff into the battlefield. Jinwoo punched him hard, sending the big guy flying across the castle. Even Jinwoo was surprised by his strength, but the boss got back up and activated buffs just like Cerberus did. Jinwoo borrowed Iron's shield to block the boss's heavy strikes. When he found an opening, he threw the shield and tried to attack from behind. But the boss predicted his move, forcing Jinwoo to use Dominator's touch to dodge. He realized the boss's glowing eyes were the weak spot. The guy moved like a super athlete defying physics, so Jinwoo climbed a building to lure him up. Leaping into the smoke, he delivered a precise slash to the boss's carotid artery. It's clear our boy has a thing for chopping heads. Another one for his collection. At the interrogation, Dong-soo walked in, calling the emo guy a monster. Il-hwan said he wasn't and offered to take a DNA test if needed. Dong-soo, annoyed at being pulled from his fun, asked Il-hwan what he knew about gates and magical beasts. Il-hwan said their knowledge was just the tip of the iceberg and warned that a catastrophic power had awakened. He said his mission was to stop it, but Dong-soo wasn't buying it and joked that Il-hwan must have been drinking motor oil to spout such nonsense. Il-hwan warned that their hunter army wouldn't be enough and that not even their flashy S-rank hunters could stop what was coming. But now, things are about to get spicy, my friend. Dong-soo finds out that the monster has a wife and 2 kids, and when he mentions the name of the son, Sung Jinwoo, he gives a death glare that could freeze hell over. The bald bastard grins and says his son is already a thing of the past. He adds that if Il-hwan wants to say anything, he'll have to wait until they meet in hell. That was it. The dad was done playing around. Back in the demonic castle, Jinwoo and his squad were wrecking the place. He asked if that horned boss was impressed by the strength of his soldiers, and once again, Jinwoo chopped off the boss's lovely head, leveling up after defeating the soul guy. Outside, it was total chaos. The fire department had been called, and the scene looked like the aftermath of a disaster movie. No one expected a rank S hunter battle to end like this, with the almighty Hwang Dong-soo utterly humiliated in the blink of an eye. Mess with someone else's kid, huh, genius? Jinwoo, out of food, decided it was time to call it a day. In just 1 week, the kid had climbed to the 75th floor of an S-rank dungeon, and he scored some sick loot like the giant's earrings and the skeleton's necklace, which boosted all his stats and came with insane buffs. He also got a greed orb, which wasn't much use to him but would double the firepower of his magical soldier. Then there was a cursed loot box containing another key. But of course, this cursed key came with zero explanation about where to use it. What mattered most was that he'd obtained a world tree fragment and spring water from the Echo Forest. Now he was just 1 item away from completing the life elixir to save his mom from that illness. Jinwoo promised that next time he'd finish this dungeon for good. If you're also dying to see how this story continues, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe so we can hit 1 million subs by year's end. If you dug this video, you'll love the next one popping on your screen. I'm out. Thanks and later.